Federal Liberal leader Justin Trudeau on the BT couch this morning. Thank you for making time for us.
Oh, such a pleasure, Jody.
We had already started talking in the break. Biggest priorities for you headed into the election, and you said, I just want to talk about fairness, middle class, and child benefit. Tell us about the child benefit.
Well, first of all, the fact is that too many Canadian families are struggling right now. Over the past 10 years, but even longer than that, people are having to make more and more choices between paying for their kids' education or saving for their retirement.
So how do the Liberals plan to help?
A new Canada Child Benefit that gives more to the people who need it by giving less to the people who don't. Typical family of four making about $90,000 a year will get a tax-free check of $490 every single month. Low-income families will get up to $533 per kid. This is about putting money in the pockets of the middle class so that they can spend, invest, grow the economy.
So where does that money come from? Because you famously get attacked with ads that say, well, the budget will just take care of itself. So address that for us.
What I actually said in that was that if you create economic growth, the budget grows into balance. It's much easier to balance a budget when the economy is growing, which it hasn't been that much recently under Stephen Harper.
How are we going to grow it?
We grow it by making sure there's money in the pockets of the middle class. We make sure it's growing by investing in infrastructure, which gives good jobs right now and better jobs for the long term. You lower taxes on middle class Canadians by $3 billion, which is what we've proposed. There's an awful lot of ways that we need to have a vision that is combining both environment and economy, not trying to separate them both. A range of solutions around government that listens to scientists, that respects data, all those things.
That's a big one,
together.
Especially here in BC. People are very concerned about climate change and the impact that LNG and Trans Mountain, there's a lot of environmental concern in British Columbia in particular. How do you go about making such a big turn if you are to have the opportunity where the Harper government seems to be pushing through sort of that federal mindset rather than having our climate here in mind?
Well, I spent so many years in BC growing up and becoming a teacher and teaching that I understand deeply the concern and the pride that we have out here in our extraordinary natural landscape. What people here in BC know is you can't separate economy from environment anymore. You have to do them both together. You create good, clean, sustainable jobs, and you protect our environment, reduce pollution and waste. The problem is we have a government right now that has lost the confidence of Canadians when it comes to protecting the environment and upholding our long-term interests. So we have to restore that.
And how do you restore that? When it comes to LNG, for an example, like where do you stand on the fracking and the transport of bitumen through our, our northern beautiful coastline?
Any developments like that need to have social license. Even though governments grant permits, only communities grant permission. And working with communities, working with First Nations, working with scientists and environmental researchers to make sure that anything we do is going to be beneficial to our economy in the short and long term, but also protecting our environment in the short and long term. And that balance is tricky to get to, but it's we're more than capable of doing it because we've done it successfully in the past.
Another tricky element that is very British Columbia is the fact that we have medicinal marijuana shops popping up all over the city that do not have business licenses, and the city is saying that it's a federal issue, the province is saying it's a federal issue. What is your stance on marijuana, legalization of it, taxation of it, and so forth?
Well, the federal government has completely messed this up. Right now, the criminal elements control the marijuana trade, and it's really easy for our kids to get marijuana in their schoolyards and everywhere. We need to tighten up, regulate, control, legalize, and tax marijuana. The way we do that is by actually showing leadership from the federal government, making sure that we work with the provinces and the municipalities for controlling dispensaries, for making sure that we have a system that respects people's freedom of choice, but also protects kids and removes criminal elements.
The dispensaries that have cropped up all over this city right now, would they be grandfathered under?
Well,
is that why this is happening?
That's part of the medical marijuana mess that Mr. Harper has completely, he tried to do something around medical marijuana without actually addressing the real issues, and has created a sort of Wild West that will need to be controlled in a reasonable way.
Clearly, there's that edge between you and the Harper government. Liberals Conservatives, for sure, but you did take the same side on Bill C-51. Tell us about that.
Because simply, any government needs to make sure it's getting the balance right between keeping Canadians safe and upholding our rights and liberties. And for us, the measures in that bill that actually protect Canadians' safety around no-fly lists, around preventative arrests, around better coordination, means that, yes, we're worthy of supporting it. But at the same time, we put forward amendments to improve the terrible things about it. There were changes made to the bill around lawful protests and others that are actually significant improvements.
That's the concern. People are thinking that if I use my voice as a Canadian in protest, I'm going to land on one of those no-fly lists.
We got that changed.
Okay.
We got that changed already, but there's more to do, and that's why we've committed to repealing the elements that are problematic in this bill and bringing in, for example, parliamentarian oversight of our national security agencies, which this government has refused to do. So there's a lot of improvements we're going to make. And
Kitts Coast Guard Station.
We're going to reopen it. Making sure that we're protecting Canadians and protecting our environment should be job one of the government, and the fact that this government doesn't get that is yet another example of them being so out of touch that after 10 years it's time for a change.
There's always a little slamming back and forth when you lead up to an election. Attack ads, we've seen them from both sides. Are we going to continue to see the attack ads, or are we going to start to see campaigning with actual campaign messaging in them?
Well, listen, you take a look at our ad. There's no attacks in it. It's about talking about our plan for helping families. Mr. Harper's putting out attack ads that focus on two things, his two favorite things, himself and me. I'm focused on Canadians. I'm focused on getting that positive message out because people are tired of being cynical.
We are, but I did see on Twitter somewhat of an attack ad done by you by saying our NHL ad was funded by us, not by...
It's not an attack. It's a contrast. It's pointing out. I'm not attacking Mr. Harper's hair or his grumpiness. I'm saying, look, the decisions they're making around spending $750 million of taxpayer money to promote how great their government is over the past 10 years is simply wrong. They're making cuts to veterans, to youth programs, and paying for it by telling us what a great job they're doing. That's not what a government should be doing. A government should be serving the Canadians who need it.
Justin Trudeau, federal Liberal leader, we're really, really thankful that you made the time for us this morning.
What a pleasure, Jody.
We can talk all day. Okay.